Hello, Health and Wellness, North Orange Continuing Education. Today we will be reviewing some exercises and stretches for flexibility, strength, and mobility of your hands, your wrists, and your forearms. So first thing is that you want to make sure that you are either standing in a stable position or you are sitting on a stable object. Two, if you are sitting down, scoot forward to the edge of your chair with your feet planted on the ground and your upper torso in an aligned position. You want to relax our shoulders. We are focusing from the elbow to our tips of our fingers today. So all we need is to make sure that two things. One, you can make sure that the elbows are close to your ribs, or two, your elbows are laying on that flat surface. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, working on that flexibility first, we want to make sure that we are stretching our forearms, our wrists, our fingers, our palms. So let's go ahead and extend this arm. So we're going to extend one hand forward, okay, side profile. You see that my arm is straight. If your arm cannot go up to the height of your shoulder, you go ahead and bring it up as high as you can. Remember, everyone is different. Everyone is starting at a different angle. Everyone is starting at different flexibility, different strength. So wherever you can go, that's where I want you to place your hand, okay? If your hand only goes from this position and just about a quarter distance, that's fine. Just go as far as you can and no higher than your shoulder. So again, your palm is forward and you're pushing as if you were pushing against the wall, and you're holding here for 10 seconds. Now you're going to go ahead and relax, rotate, and again, push against the wall. And what we're doing, we are stretching out this area here. If you want a deeper stretch within your forearm, you're gonna go ahead with your fingertips and pull it back. And you feel a deeper stretch within your hand, the palm of your hand, and your forearm underneath. Relax again, 9 to 10 seconds. That's all you need, 9 to 10 seconds. Once you finish your 9 to 10 seconds, you can go ahead and release and relax. I like to do the breathing technique where I breathe in and out twice. So inhale deep, exhale out, long exhale, inhale deep, and exhale out, and release. And again, we're going to go ahead and do this one more time for 3 sets of 9 to 10 seconds. And we're gently pulling on those fingers, soft and gentle. Now, if you feel that you need a deeper stretch, you're going to go ahead and include that thumb and pull that thumb back just gently and softly. Or you can release these 4 fingers and just pull on that thumb, and you feel the stretch along your palm. There we go. And release. Good. Now let's go ahead and do it to the opposite side. Remember, whatever you do to your left, you do to your right. Whatever you do to your right, you do to your left. Now let's go ahead and extend that arm, full range of motion, not any higher than your shoulder. So just as high as your shoulder. If you can't go as high as your shoulder and you can only go maybe just a couple of inches forward, or a quarter inch or quarter distance, that's fine, or half distance. Just make sure you go as far as you are able to. Remember, we do not want to feel any tightness as far as hurting you, pinching you, or sharp pains. Once you feel that, you go ahead and release. You stretch it out, open and close your hand, and then regain that position again. And again, if you want a deeper stretch within your forearms, you are gently tugging on those 4 fingers backwards towards your shoulder and holding for 9 to 10 seconds. Then release. In this last one, we are going to include that thumb. So we're going to pull for 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release and grab that thumb. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax and rotate. Very good. Okay, now for this next one, we are going to place it down. So we are going to place our palm forward, rotating our forearm, rotating our arm, extending that arm, full range. okay? As high as your shoulder, that's your goal. So wherever you're starting at, just make sure that your goal is your shoulder. Now from there, you're gonna go ahead and tug back. Again, 9 to 10 seconds. I already had it for 5. And release, rotate. And again, once more, extend that arm, tug on those fingers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in and exhale. Very good. Now we're going to do it one more time. This time we are going to reach our hand under our arm and tug on that thumb. So extend that arm, allow our hand to drop down, fingers facing the ground, and reach underneath with the opposite hand and tug gently on that thumb. And you're going to feel the stretch within your palm of your hands. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Very good. Now again, we're going to go ahead and transfer it over to the opposite side. So extend that arm, okay, extend it forward. And then if this is a good extension and you feel that stretch already within your forearm, this is good enough. You don't need to tug on it. Just hold it for 9 to 10 seconds, then release and relax your hand. And go back again. If you want a deeper stretch within your arm, you're going to go ahead and tug on those fingers. And inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and release. Again, rotating our hands, opening and closing our palms. Last time, again, we're going to go ahead and pull on that thumb. So extend that hand forward, arm, full range of motion all the way out as far as you can. Pulling and tugging on your forefingers for 5 seconds, 2, and relax. And then going underneath and tugging gently on that thumb to feel it across your palm. 5, 4, 3, 2, follow with the breathe in and exhale. Very good. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and rotate. All right, wiggle those fingers, open and close. Now we're going to go ahead and contract those muscles within our forearms by contracting and squeezing a tight fist. If you can tell, my forefingers are flat against my hand and my thumb is against my fingers. Okay, you could also bring it to the side, whichever way you feel comfortable. What I don't want you to do is bend all of these fingers, these joints here, and roll it in like a donut. Okay, I don't want that. Make sure that it's flat, flat. All right, we're going to go ahead and hold for both hands. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax, rotate, open and close, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And now we're going to go ahead and do it again. This time, holding it with the breathing technique. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and relax. Wiggle those fingers. Once again, squeeze. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, exhale. Very good. Go ahead and wiggle those fingers. Rotate your hands. Relax those wrists. Go ahead and relax those wrists. Bringing your fingers forward and back. Now let's go ahead and bring those palms up as if you're fanning your face. We're stretching it out and warming up those joints. Very good. All right, now we're going to add that exercise to our fingers. And what I want you to do is you are going to, again, make sure you're in a sitting up in a straight position, align your back, erect your back, okay, chest up. Elbows could go on the table if you want. And I'll show you the table that I'm using. So elbows could go on the table, or make sure that those elbows just stay tucked into your ribs, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the tip of your fingers together. So bring those tip of your fingers together, right? Even your thumbs, okay? In a relaxed position. Now, what we're going to do is rotate those fingers forward. So rotating over the other, and we're going to rotate it forward 10 times. And then we're going to rotate it backwards 10 times. Now you could count the rotations, or you could use that breathing technique by inhaling deep and exhaling long. All right, bringing those thumbs together. Now, if I'm going a little bit too fast for you, don't worry. Just go ahead and pause this video. And once you finish each finger, go ahead and push play and then rotate backwards. The key is that you are trying your best. Try your best. That's all you need to do. As long as you are completing the technique correctly and you are completing the amount of times that you are rotating those fingers, you'll be fine. Speed is not the key. Speed is not the key. Technique is the key, and the amount of times that you are completing the technique is key. Okay. Now, as we pass along from our middle finger to ring finger to pinky, this exercise might get a little bit more harder and a little bit more tricky, and these fingers might start to fall apart, and that's fine. Just go ahead and regain those starting positions with the tips of your fingers together, and then finish off what you started. Okay, so I started off with my middle finger. And we're going to bring it in together 10 times forward, 10 times back. And now with this finger here, our ring finger, it has been researched that our ring finger is the weakest finger of our hand. So this might create a little bit more tension within our fingers where we're holding it tip by tip, or it might just make it a little bit difficult to retain this position, and then our fingers might collide, right? So that's fine. So just make sure you do your 10 times backwards and your 10 times forward, and then regain that position again. If you cramp up, just go ahead and wiggle those fingers, rotate those hands around, and then regain that position, start position. So I left off with our ring finger. We're going to our pinky. Now, if you could tell, when I do my pinky, my other fingers want to move, so my hands want to move, and that's normal. That's okay. As long as you are completing the technique of the rotation of our fingers and trying to keep the tips of our fingers together. Now, if you can't keep the tips of your fingers together, they continue to collide and collapse, that's fine. Just try your best, okay? And what I mean by try your best is just try to keep those fingers touching each other, okay? Even if it's not the tips of your fingers, just try to keep. Now, if you have arthritis and or you have some kind of disparity within your hands and your fingers cannot extend, don't worry. Just bring those hands together in whichever form that you can and try to complete those rotations. So if you're in this position and you have to separate the hands, that's fine. We always start off in any kind of form possible that is beneficial to you. So depending on how you can complete it, what your mobility is, what your ability is, we're going to go ahead and start it from there. Okay, so I'm just giving you some ideas of which way or where you could start off from. So if you cannot complete these exercises by keeping those fingertips together, just think of completing the rotation. Okay, and little by little, you start moving those fingers. Okay, so the whole idea is that we start to create that mobility within our fingers, right? All right, so now we're going to go ahead and play the piano. Okay, so we're going to play the piano. Our hands are going to be in front of us. If you do not have a table, that's fine. Use your laps. So you're going to place your hands on your laps, or you're going to place your hands on the table. And you want to be in a comfortable position where you're not rotating your wrists, okay? You're not breaking your wrists forward, outside, or inside, okay? Or that you're not bringing it in like a little puppy dog, right? We want to make sure that our hands are flat. You can even bring your forearms to the table so that your hands could be, your forearms could be relaxed and your shoulders could be relaxed, and you're just moving your fingertips. Okay, so let me go ahead and rotate this a little bit more. So forearms are here. I'm relaxed in a position where I'm still sitting up straight and my hands are flat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start moving my pinky. Okay, we're creating that mobility within our pinky. And again, depending on what kind of form you have within your hand and what kind of restrictions you have in your hand, just go ahead and place your hands on the table. Your goal is to place your hands flat on the table. That is your goal. Wherever you're starting off, just go ahead and start off and start moving one finger at a time, okay? If you only can move one hand, one finger on one hand, that's fine. Just go ahead and do that and focus on one hand. Now, if you can tell, I am moving my ring finger and my middle finger wants to move too. And that's okay, that's normal. We have a ligament that's attached to both of them that's pulling that muscle to pull those fingers, okay? And then you can go ahead and bring that ring finger down and move your middle finger. Now I'm gonna go ahead and complete this exercise with my palms down and with both of my hands moving at the same time, limiting only to one finger at a time. And we're tapping 10 times. And then we're gonna go ahead and go into the middle finger, tapping 10 times, keeping my pinky down and the rest of my fingers down, only moving my ring finger. Go ahead and place it down and move my middle finger 10 times, 9, 10, and now my index finger 10 times. And again, I'm relaxing my shoulders, I'm relaxing my forearms. It's all about the movement in my fingers. And now my thumb. So if you play a piano, this is an exercise that is done for basic beginners, okay? The only difference is that we have a piano in front of us. But since we don't have a piano, we are using the table and we're just moving and mobilizing those fingers. Now go ahead and wiggle those fingers. Very good. And wiggle the opposite direction, starting with your thumb and going off to your pinky. Now back to your pinky into your thumb. So wiggle it in, wiggle it out, wiggle it in, wiggle it out. Now here's a trick. We're going to go ahead and wiggle from one side of your hand to the other and then bring it back, kind of like the wave, right? We're just going to do this 3 times. Okay, very good. Now we're going to go ahead and play the piano and walk our hands to the sides. Again, creating that mobility. So whichever form you have within your hands, your digits, you're going to go ahead and just try your best to wiggle those out. Very good. Now wiggle them forward, walk them back, forward and back. We're creating that mobility. Sometimes we wake up and our hands are stiff, and this is easy exercises that we can perform just to start to create that blood flow to your hands that help those muscles to pull those fingers and wiggle those fingers. Okay, very good. Now, let's go on. Now, this next one that we are going to complete is called tabletop. Okay, now the reason why it's called tabletop is because we're bending our hands in a form where it looks like a table. Now, again, if you're standing up, just go ahead and bring those elbows into your ribs, tuck them in. If you're using the table, you go ahead and relax your elbows on the table. And what we want to do, the key is that we want to make sure that our hands are aligned to our forearm. So we want to make sure that it's straight. We don't want to bend it, okay, so or backwards, and it forward or backwards. We want to make sure that it's aligned, so it's straight all the way from your elbow to your pinky. And it's the same thing. If you're here, tucking your elbows to your ribs, it's the same form. Okay, so this is the form here, the starting position. And what we're going to do is we're going to bend at our knuckles. So this position here, okay, that area. And we're going to keep our fingers straight. Our thumbs do not move. Okay, so straight. We're forming that table and then back up. And again, take your time. Okay, it's all about form. Look at yourself. Look at what your hands are doing. Make sure that they're hitting that table. They're not going any lower. They're not falling down. When they hit that table, then we go back up. Look at those fingers. Make sure that you're not bending like this. So it's all about position. It's all about control. Okay. Now, if you have a finger or a couple fingers that are not moving and you only can move 1 finger, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, what have you, you're going to try to move them together at the same time into this position. Now, if you don't have this mobility to move your fingers all the way, just go as far as you can and then back up. Remember, we're working on strengthening, flexing, so enhancing that flexibility to your hands and that strength to your hands and that mobility to your hands. And so we always have to start from somewhere. And wherever you start, that's okay. That's a good start. All right, so you do this about 10 times, right? You hit that table 10 times. Once you hit the table 10 times, you're good. When you start counting up, just go ahead and relax your arms, shake those hands, rotate your wrists, open and close, make that fist on your fingers. And then we're going to go ahead and get started with the next one. If you haven't finished, just go ahead and go back into that start position and finish that rotation for tabletops. Okay, so next one. Okay, next one, our hands are going to be flat on the table. Okay, so very similar to our piano. The only difference is that we are going to make sure that definitely our hands are flat on the table. If you do not have a table and you have your laps and you're using your laps, just try to make sure that the elbows are tucked in, okay? We want to make sure that our forearm is aligned to our wrist, okay? We don't want to do this. We don't want our elbows to be out and have to straighten out our hands. That's not the idea. You want to make sure that they're aligned. So if you want to be in this position, that's fine. Just make sure that you're in a comfortable position, but your hand is still aligning to your forearm. So it's straight here and it's straight here. Okay, they're going one direction. And then the same thing with the opposite arm going one direction. I like to just keep them like a railroad track and sitting up straight. I place my hands, my forearms on the table. I tuck those elbows in. I relax my wrist, relax my hand because I want my palm of my hand on the table. My knuckles are pushed down and my fingers are flat down on the table, squeezing together. Now from this position here, I'm just going to go back so you can see the vision of my hand. You're going to slowly, we're going to work on one hand first. We're going to slowly open up our fingers one at a time. Okay, we're going to have to, once we open the first one, the second one is going to follow through, and then the third one, and then the fourth one, kind of like a domino effect, and then all of them all together. Now let's start off with the pinky side, open up, try to control it, see my thumb try to open up with the pinky. There's my fingers are trying to open up, middle finger, index finger, and including my thumb, even though my thumb's been moving all along. Now, when I close, I want to make sure that my knuckles stay down, my palm stays flat on the table, okay? Now, a couple of things that happen is that when you open up, they could open up at different times. That's fine. We're working on that mobility. Two is you open up and your fingers start to elevate off of the table. See the table right here? Okay, if I open up, they start to elevate. That's normal. That's a normal reaction. What we want to do is try to focus on keeping those fingertips flat on the table and closing, keeping those knuckles down, so palm down. Okay, so depending on how tight you were squeezing, your palm might go just a little bit up because of the pressure that your thumb is creating, pushing that skin underneath your palm. Open and close again, 9 to 10 times. Open and close, in control. And then once you get this technique down, you can go ahead and complete this exercise by moving both hands at the same time. And completing the exercise for both your right and your left hand. So let's go ahead and go on to the opposite side. I'm working on making sure the palm is flat, making sure my knuckles are down. My fingers are tightly close together. I relax in position, right? And I'm starting off with my thumb this time, following through with my index finger, then my middle finger, and now my ring finger is moving. And now open all the way with all my fingers, keeping my fingertips tightly to the table, and my knuckles are tightly to the table. My palm is flat on the table, and then close it up. Try not to elevate my hand. So keep that wrist down, keep the palm down, keep those fingertips down. And then you complete this 10 times, right? Now, depending on your mobility, depending on how well you can move your fingers and your hand, you could go ahead and just focus on one finger at a time, or you could go ahead and focus on the outside fingers, so only your pinky and your thumb, or all of your fingers on at the same time. Okay. Very good. Let's go ahead and complete 3 more. 1 and 2. You can see my veins popping out because I'm really tense. My hands are tense. And last time, squeeze it together. Very good. Now go ahead and rotate it. Anytime you start to get cramping within your wrist, your fingers, or your forearms, just go ahead and relax that position and rotate your hands, wiggle your fingers, tighten up, and open up. Okay? Okay, very good. Okay, now we are going to do a couple more exercises, and these exercises are for stretching, okay, for stretching. So if after I put so much intensity within those muscles, within my joints, within my ligaments, I pull my fingers to open and close, contract them, I'm going to stretch it out. So again, we go ahead and stretch out just like how we started off, and we start to feel that stretch within our forearm. And then we go ahead and go on to the next one and feel that stretch with the forearm again, holding it for a good 9 to 10 seconds. Again, deep breath in, exhale out 2 times, and that's a good amount of seconds, right? Now we can go ahead and do the opposite and relax. Opposite, oops, and relax. Open and close. Very good. Now what I want you to do is we're going to open, extend those fingers and close tight. We did this exercise before, but we were holding it, remember? This time we're going to open and close quickly. So everything open, close, open, close. And we do this 10 times. Open, close, 5 more times. Open, close. And the whole idea is that we are extending them as if we were trying to reach out to the sky with each finger in each direction, and then close it tight. Open, close, open, close, open, close, open. One more, open, close. Very good. Go ahead and relax those wrists, wiggle your fingers. There's a lot of intensity going on throughout those muscles. Okay, now the next one, we are going to add strength to our muscles. And the strength is going to be within our forearm muscles. Now for this one, you could grab a water bottle. You can grab a 2-pounder, 1-pounder dumbbell. You could grab, I have this here, okay? If I have it too, I can use that. Something where you could grab it as if you're holding it, like a candlestick. You can grab a candlestick as well. Okay. If you have an empty cup, you could grab a cup and then just place it here, okay? I am going to grab the most famous and wanted object that many of us at home want, the hand sanitizer. Okay, so for the hand sanitizer, I'm going to hold it just like this. And what I want to create is a 90-degree angle with my arm hinging at my elbow, okay? So I want to make sure, just like my other exercises, that my arm is aligned with my hand, or my hand is aligned with my arm. So I don't want to break at my wrist, up or down, or I bend it in or out. Okay, that bending is going to happen with the exercises, but not here. So all I want to do is make sure that I'm aligned, okay? And if I want, I could go ahead and make sure that my hand, my forearm is on the table, and my hand from my wrist out is off of the table. The rotation that we are going to work on is rotating from your wrist and then rotating the opposite direction, right? So our palm goes up and then our palm goes down. Our palm goes up, rotating, and my palm goes down. If you can tell, I'm not bending my wrist. I'm not doing this to lift it up, right? My wrist stays flat, and the only thing that's rotating is right there in this area, right? And then you do this 10 times, back and forth. And you could use the rule of breathing technique to keep that rhythm, or you could just count it out for yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding for 1 second in between each rotation. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want, you can go ahead and realign again and make sure that your wrist is not bent. You're not bending backwards, you're not bending forward, it's flat again. And then rotate again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And complete your 10. Now, we're going to go ahead and go back into the opposite side. Okay, so the same thing. This time, I'm going to do this standing up so that we can see how it looks when it's standing up. And I'm going to tuck that elbow in. And that's how I know I'm not going to use my arm. Sometimes what happens is that we start to rotate and our arm goes up and we start to use our deltoids. We don't want to use our deltoids. No, not yet. Okay, that's for another exercise. What we're doing is making sure we have a 90-degree angle, hinging from our elbow, making sure that our forearm and our hand is aligned. Squeezing that object in our hand, but not tight. You don't want to be too tight. Okay, we just want to make sure that we're holding that object in our hand gently and softly. And now we're going to go ahead and rotate palm down and then rotate palm up. Rotate palm down, rotate palm up, rotate palm down. And this exercise is very good for mobility with our daily tasks of opening a door, okay? Pouring some juice in a cup or a coffee. So these exercises help out in all of that, right? Probably even opening another object that we need to have open, maybe a box. This helps out with that as well. And again, the focus is in our forearm. You can see that the muscles start to contract underneath as you're rotating. Okay? All right, so let's say we finished and we completed 10. Now the next one that we are going to do is going to be, again, with the object, okay, with our hand sanitizer, gently holding it with our hand, and also making sure that our elbow is tucked into our ribs. And what you could do is you can hold on to your arm from underneath to make sure that it doesn't move and make sure that there's no emphasis within our deltoids or our shoulders. All the emphasis is going to be within our forearm. Now make sure that it's in a 90-degree angle, okay? So you don't want to be too high or you don't want to be too low. You want to be in that 90-degree angle. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring our palm down. Okay? I'm going to stand up so you can see this. So my arm is going to be aligned with my hand, or my hand is going to be aligned with my palm, with my forearm. And what I'm going to do, palm down, I'm going to drop my fingers or drop that object, rolling it down, and then roll it back to that same alignment. Then roll it down and roll it up. Roll it down, roll it up. And we are going to complete 10 of these. Now, if you have an object that's, pound, this is just 8 ounces. If you have a dumbbell that's 1 pound, 2 pounds, that's good. And you don't want too much weight within this exercise. We're just working on adding flexibility and strength within our forearm for that mobility, for increased mobility. If we were working on trying to add muscle, then we'll probably work on that using more weight, but right now it's not necessary. We're adding mobility to our hand. And this is enough weight. Okay, a couple of ounces, if you use a rock, or a couple of ounces to a pound, or 2 pounds. 2 pounds is like the mouse. You don't need too much. All right, so you do 10 of these. And you want to make sure, you want to watch out. You don't want to go over, okay? So once you hit that parallel to your forearm, that's where you want to stop, and then rotate down. And one way that you could do what I do with my students, I just place my hand right over where I want them to stop so they know not to go any further. All right? Now if you start to go further, now we're overworking that muscle. We don't want to do that. And we're overworking that joint. Now when you drop down, you don't want to have to drop down and push down. Don't push. Just let it go as far as it can on its own, and then rotate it back up. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side, right? So 90-degree angle, hinging from your elbow, and then dropping at your wrist. So bending at your wrist. I'm going to go ahead and place my hand over my wrist so I know how far to go, and lifting and dropping 10 times. Keep going. And up. And very good. And now you can use your rhythm of counting, or you can use your breathing technique. So exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. And then just complete the 10. Let's go ahead and complete 2 more. And last one. Very good. Okay, so the next one that we are going to do is the same technique. The only thing is that your hand is rotated. Okay, so standing again, bringing that elbow tucked in. Again, you don't have to stand. Just make sure that if you are sitting down, you're sitting at the edge of your seat and your body is aligned. Okay. Now for this one, again, like I said, bring that elbow in. You can go ahead and squeeze it to make sure that you're not using your deltoids or your shoulder. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring our palm up. So start off with the palm up. And again, 90 degrees with the arm, hinging from our elbow, and then hinging from our wrist. And we're lifting. And then bringing it back down. So I'm going to place my hand right underneath my wrist. This way I know how far to allow my hand to straighten out. And then bring it in. And again, you can use your breathing technique. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Completing your 10 exercises, your 10 rotations of your hands. And look at your hand. Make sure that your grip doesn't become a little bit more tense. You want to relax that grip. It's gently holding on to the object. The whole idea is that we have this rotation continuously for 10 repetitions. I would say we're close to 10. Let's do 2 more. Last one. And that's it. Very good. All right. So now that we finished those exercises for strength conditioning, we are going to stretch it out. Remember, it's very important that we stretch. So let's go ahead and do those exercises that we started off with. Let's go ahead and bring our palm forward. Again, if this is good enough, you feel like stretch within your forearm, this is fine. Bring it up as high as you can, shoulder up to your shoulder, that is the limit, okay, or the max, I should say. If you need more intense stretch, you're going to go ahead and stretch it here, pulling softly and gently on your fingertips, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and rotate so that our fingers are facing down. We're going to go under and grab that thumb and feel that stretch within our thumb, within our palm, and within our forearm. And again, if your arm is bent because you can't straighten, that's fine. Start off with what you got, okay? Start off with the mobility that you have. After a couple of times of doing this throughout the week, for a couple of weeks, you're going to start to see that you're adding more flexibility to not only your wrists and your fingers, but also to your forearm, your elbow, and your upper arm. Okay, so again, adding that flexibility is key, but we all start off at different levels, right? Okay, now let's go ahead and switch it off. Okay, you can tug on those fingers, or you can go underneath and tug on that thumb. Okay, and I feel that stretch within my forearm on top. Okay? I could do this exercise and I really feel that stretch. I feel the stretch here. And I also feel a little bit tightness on this side because that's the muscle that's pulling so that it could flex my hand backwards. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and bring it forward and complete this exercise. Okay, this muscle here is relaxed because now I'm tugging on it. I'm letting it relax, right? Using the opposite hand to tug on it and stretch out the bottom part of my forearm. And relax. Now let's go ahead and give it one more rotation forward 5 times and one more rotation backwards 5 times. Open and close, and that is it. Remember, do these exercises about 3 times a week and with the same repetition as we completed for this exercise video. Remember, if I'm going too fast for you, remember, put the pause button, and whenever you're ready to proceed, just go ahead and push play, and I'll be there waiting for you. Remember, you are strong, you are wise, you are healthy, and grateful. Have a great day, and I hope to see you in my other videos. Bye.